Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how are we doing?
Hey, Bucks are hot right now. Can't complain. End of the season's coming close, so getting excited for playoffs.
Red hot. Red hot. Um, Bucks get. Oh, it looks like we lost him.
Sorry,
Yeah, we lost you for a sec. We lost you for a sec. So, but
I
I
just
think
decided to click the back button.
yep. No, that's no. You're totally all right. You are totally all right. So, yeah, but the Bucks are red hot right now. They won. They recently just won. They won four of the last five, I believe it is.
hmm
They won last Sunday against the New Orleans Pelicans, 111 to 107. So, Evan, what did you see in Milwaukee's performance against New Orleans?
It was one of those games again, a home game. End of the season. New Orleans isn't really playing for anything, so that's one of the ones where, with it being Bucks need to all those scenarios where it's like you got to win this game and hope this team loses. Blah blah blah. This is just one of those games where you need to win just for the sake of it. I felt confident with it. Again, it was kind of close for a little bit, but Bucks able to pull out near the end. Monster game again from Giannis. I feel like just a lot of his stat lines have been insane as of recently with his triple double purge that he's been going on, getting one almost every game. I feel like in this mini win streak that they've had going on, but no, one of those games where I felt confident with their play. I felt like a lot of the role players, AJ Green, Kevin Porter Jr., especially Kevin Porter Jr. In these last few games as well, but this game was big, and I feel like having Bobby Portis back is just slowly he's jumped in right away. I feel like there's nothing like really that seems kind of iffy or like shaking the rust off or rusty with anything. I feel like he's jumped right in as if he's been playing these last 25 games. So I feel confident with him getting minutes again in the series. So I'm excited. Really enjoyed watching the game. And it's just another one of those boosts moving into the playoffs. And again, Bucks usually aren't the team to get hot at the right time, so I'm fingers crossed that they continue with this.
Yeah, and again, like there is not one team that's more decimated than the New Orleans Pelicans. Like they are missing everybody. They're probably missing like probably two assistant coaches. They're probably missing half their front office staff. I mean, who can you name? Like there's not one noteworthy player right now currently playing for the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay. Like they're having to rely on guys like, you know, um, Lester Quintes and there's just a lot of like they're just not a good team this year. And again, they've been very injured. Like they're just a very cursed franchise. And again, like it's one of those things where I don't know where the Pelicans go from here. I don't know what they exactly want to do with Zion Williamson. Because look, they have talent. That is not the issue. The issue is they just cannot stay healthy for the life of me. For some reason, for God unforsaken reason, that team can just never stay healthy for a full season. And yeah, and again, they're missing star play. I mean, they're missing CJ McCollum. They're missing Zion. Um, it's just it's tough to win when your rosters is filled with G League guys. No disrespect to Keon Brooks or Lester Quinez or who else was a noteworthy player for that? Or Yves Missy and Jamal King. But who are these guys? Like they're not going to contribute to winning. Okay. Like at some point in time, this is kind of for them to be like, well, let's see what we have with them. Because and again, credit to them because they kept it relatively close, but in the end, it's just Gary Trent had 29 points. Brooke Lopez had a double double. So it like honestly, it's just where do you like this was a very impressive win, but the Bucks basically beat the Pelicans with like one hand kind of tied behind their back a little bit. Um, and this was all without the services of Giannis Antetokounmpo. He didn't play either. So, and Kevin Porter Jr. Well, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but he had another big time performance. Um, And again, this was and look, they weren't even supposed to play, but this was actually rescheduled from when New Orleans got hit with those major storms.
Yeah, I forgot about
You
that.
know, yeah. So, and looking at it now, it's like, Antonio Reeves had a big time game. He had 23 points. So, um, they just have a lot of and look, the Pelicans shot 45% from the field, went 12 of 33 from three. And Milwaukee shot 46% for the field and went 11-32 from three. So, it's a good sign. The fact that Milwaukee can now start to win without the services of Jamie Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, granted, it was against the Pelicans, but still, anytime you can beat any team in the NBA, especially without your two-star players, I think is a welcoming sign, especially as you head into the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things where, especially with tonight's game that we'll obviously get to, but without Damian Lillard, it's always one of those things where it's like they're playing so well and you want your star guys to come back, but then it's like, is it gonna change? Is it like is like their play style gonna change? Like what's gonna be kind of altered based off of the play that they're getting right now? Obviously with Kevin Porter Jr. And Gary Trent kind of taking more of the primary, and Ryan Rollins as the more primary point guard, shooting guard role, but no, I feel confident with it. And again, it sucks with the injuries because the Bucks have battled that for the last few years, really since they've won the championship. It's been Chris Middleton, it's been Giannis, it's been Lillard. So I'm really hoping, obviously, that some of these teams who've been hit with injuries, like the Pelicans, kind of doesn't turn out for us. But again, kind of based off of where or what I've read about Sims and Lillard, that they could potentially be back for round one. So kind of fingers crossed for that.
Yep. So, moving on to the next game. One of the most exciting games in Milwaukee Bucks history. I don't think we've ever seen like the Bucks go on as big of a run. It is rare when we have personally witnessed, a Milwaukee Bucks comeback. Especially in the Mike Budenholzer era, because God forbid they were just rolling through teams. But down 24. I believe it was 95 72 at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dante DiVincenzo hits a three. I believe he hit 6 or 7 on the game. That was the last field goal the Minnesota Timberwolves had for 8 minutes before the Milwaukee Bucks went on, I believe it was called a 38-8 run to snatch the game back from the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was impressive, but heading into that fourth quarter, Giannis only had 10 points. And he ended the game with, if I could just pull it up for 1 second. Let's see. Giannis ended the game with 23. So he scored 13 points in the fourth quarter. Kuzma had 10. Brook Lopez had 10. Really nothing from the starters. But I think the biggest star in the game was Kevin Porter Jr. He has been, now granted, he's been really impressive since being acquired from the Clippers. But now it's like, oh, this guy's a straight bucket. Kevin Porter Jr., let me tell you, is a straight bucket. That is a steal at the deadline. This is one of John Horst, and usually John Horst doesn't do particularly well at the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. This is one of the best moves. He cooked with Kevin Porter Jr. I'm telling you. He is. I've been very impressed with KPJ. Very much in the offensive end, but defensively, he's getting in passing lanes. He's picking up steals. I cannot say enough good words about Kevin Porter Jr. Now, I know what I said early on after they traded for him. But again, it's not that I hated the trade. And I'm going to keep maintaining that. I'm just never a fan of because I always want as good of players that Milwaukee acquires on the court. I want them to be good people off the court as well. and I've maintained that. I'm still going to maintain that. I'm not a fan of, well, the allegations that he hit his girlfriend. I don't like that. And again, even heading into, even when he first started in the NBA, he had a lot of behavioral issues. Like that very much is true. He had a lot of issues at Cleveland, and he kind of kept up those same issues in um, in Houston. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably because of who was around in terms of teammate wise. I think you come to Milwaukee, okay, and even you go to LA. Okay, I think his last two stops, he's been. I think there's just been a lot of veteran leadership there. Whether you're talking about Zubac, or whether you're talking about, I believe Nicholas Batum's back on, or whether you're talking about, you know, Kawhi Leonard. I just think you need to go. A young player like that needs to go to a team where we have a lot of veteran leadership, especially if you have those behavioral issues as much as Kevin Porter Jr. did. I think you have to go, and I think he's matured a little bit. And you could see it in his plays. This is a talented player. He just needed to kind of get his head on his shoulders, and you kind of see that that's what's happening right now. So, what did you see in Milwaukee's miraculous win versus the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I was working late that night and went out to eat, and I've been moving this weekend. The last time I checked the score, Bucks were down 70-92, and I'm like, okay, let's do a little packing. And then I checked my phone a few minutes later. I'm like, oh, they just went on a 21-0 run. I'm like, I hate when I cannot watch a game and something like that happens. But it's one of those superstitious where, like, if you then watch the game, it never would have happened. But tuned back in and kind of was able to see like the second half of that huge run. Again, at one point it was like 34-1 or 34-3, something like that. And just being able to have pure dominance both on the offensive and defensive end. Now you talked about Kevin Porter Jr., but really to seal the deal, he had like 3 steals and 4 or 5 possessions late, leading all to fast break points. Which was really able to seal it. Obviously, you can tie it and go up 3, but being able to go up 6 or 7, I felt obviously a lot more confident with it. And actually being able to close it down too. It's they make a run and now all of a sudden they start hitting shots all at the last minute and the game flips. So it's always hard having one of those huge comeback games and then still end up losing by like 2 or 3 points. But finally being able to like get over that hump, I know that happened a couple months ago. I feel like already against the Pacers too. I think that was the New Year's Eve game where they came back from 19, I believe, in the fourth quarter as well, or third going into the fourth. But no, a lot of positives out of that. And that was another reassuring game of like, okay, usually at the end of the season, the Bucks are not doing hot, and especially against one of the better teams, the Timberwolves with Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert. And, they got shooters with Dante. Obviously, we know because we traded him. But no, I feel more confident doing it against a team where I know that they have some bucket getters on their team. Now, obviously, if this was against, I don't know, let's say the Pelicans, I'd feel obviously good about myself, but kind of heartening just because it was against a crappier team. But no, I felt good, and I feel really confident with our role players. Guys being able to hit buckets when they need to, especially late in the game. AJ Green had 1 3-pointer where instead of just running a play, he just pulled off from probably like 32 feet and sunk it. And then the next play, hitting another corner 3 where it's the confidence in a lot of these guys being able to close out a lot of these games. I feel like it's gotten a lot better. And they feel more confident taking up shots. A lot of the guys are more like pass first in a way where they want to give it to the guy who's dominantly a scorer like Giannis, maybe from Kevin Porter Jr. But smaller role player guys taking bigger shots, I feel good with, and especially if they're able to hit them. I feel good going to the playoffs, and that was a fun game to watch. I had to obviously rewatch the run itself, but being able to actually close out that game too made it feel a lot better. Obviously, if they would have came back and still lost, it stings, it sucks, but still being able to have that heart in the fourth quarter, I feel like was very reassuring, especially closing out the season too, when they need to win these last few games as well, going into tonight's game.
And just a quick point of clarification, Anthony Edwards. I believe you said Anthony Davis.
Oh, yes, Anthony Edwards. Yep. Anthony Davis does not play for the Timberwolves.
No, No. But look, the first three quarters, right? Oh God, they could not miss. I
They
mean,
couldn't do it. Yeah, they couldn't do anything.
but and again, you got to get you and again, you have to give them credit because they're hitting these shots. But I do give Milwaukee a little bit of the blame because you can't come out flat as fuck in the first quarter. You can't. If you come out that flat, you're going to lose. And as you saw in tonight's game against the Pistons, they came out flat again in the first quarter. Like you're not going to be able to do that in the playoffs. There's not going to be too many miraculous runs in the playoffs that you're going to be able to come back from. So you got to tighten it up. You got to play well in all four quarters of basketball to win. And I know that sounds very obvious, but you could get away with like maybe playing like a bad quarter or two. That's not gonna happen in the playoffs. But look, I think they were just lucky. And look, I don't know what the hell Minnesota was doing. They were taking so many threes. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm not mad about it because it's like, but like still, if you have a 24-point lead, I might be thinking about like just getting the ball inside. You can never go wrong with getting the ball inside. But see, this is the problem with the NBA now. Is well, shit, we're a 3-point shooting team. We're just going to keep throwing up threes. You have a 24-point lead. It's like at some point you have to take the analytics out of it, and you just have to be like, all right, let's just actually use our heads for a second, and let's actually try to get the ball inside, maybe draw a few fouls, bleed the clock a little bit. But they didn't do that. They just kept running the same offense. I just don't understand. It's okay to hold on to a lead a little bit. It's okay to like bleed the clock.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't even have to get up a good shot sometimes.
Like the Timberwolves honestly had nobody to blame but themselves. It's not that hard to blow a 24-point lead. All you have to do is just not be dumb. Like the teams that blow these 20-point leads are teams that just play straight up dumb. And that's what the Timberwolves did. They kept jacking up threes. They weren't making them. They were less effective on the defensive end. And that's why they lost. It's that simple. I mean, there were so many deep shots. Like Anthony Edwards just pulled out, like didn't even pass once, and he pulled up a deep shot and he missed on the front rim. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what is this offensive strategy you're going for? You built a 24-point lead for a reason, but you're going completely away. Like Julius Randle was getting the ball inside, and I mean, Gobert. I mean, it's just, the problem is they just don't really have a closer anymore. Okay, they don't have that Karl-Anthony Towns. Like Julius Randle, I'm not saying Julius Randle's a bad player. Julius Randle's a very, very good NBA player. But is he a closer? No. And I think that's where the loss of Cat hurts because I think Cat could do either or. He could shoot the three or he could go inside, body you up, and make some shots. But and it was just it was just so dumb how they just decided to play it. I didn't understand their strategy. And that's part of the reason why they blew a 24-point lead. Like while also having also I don't know. I mean, like I know people want to believe in the Timberwolves. I don't. I don't think they're as good this year as they were last year. All right, you got this. It's basically the same team minus Cat, and I honestly think not having Cat makes your team a little worse. Like nobody was saying like, oh my god, they got Julius Randle. And people like if you talk to NBA pundits before the season started, they're like, well, I don't think either team got better. No, actually, I think the Knicks got better. I think Cat significantly.
The Knicks got so much better.
It's like, what are you talking about? I knew Cat was going to make an impact the second he got traded to New York. The second he was traded to New York, I knew he was going to make as big of an impact on New York as Julius Randle has on the Timberwolves because that wasn't an equal value trade. Cat is a far better player than Julius Randle, and it's not even a debate. Not even a debate. Like, I don't even know what people were smoking. I was actually questioning who the hell actually watched basketball. Like, Cat's made that team significantly better. Because the Knicks for so many years were searching for that second star. Cat's a star. Like, no matter how much he gets roasted on a daily basis and how zesty he could be on a daily ass basis, Karl-Anthony Towns is a fucking star. Like, Julius Randle is just a good player.
Yeah. Two role
one
players for a superstar.
Yes, one player elevates one team, another player just kind of That's the type of player Juice Randle is. He's an player. He's good. You can put up numbers, but he's an He's not going to elevate your team. And that's what I think. And honestly, that's where I think that Timberwolves made the biggest mistake is that he's not elevating. Like Cat's elevating teams. Julius Randle is just he's an like he's just like, I don't know. I just feel like Julius Randle's kind of like, he's kind of like Julius Randle to me is kind of like vanilla ice cream. But it's good. It's dependable. Really not that exciting.
But it's not the best.
It's not a mint chocolate chip. No, I think Karl-Anthony Towns, that's a game-changing. Like, I think Karl-Anthony Towns is like a game-changing ice cream or like a Blue Moon or something. That's like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, that's like, these are flavors you get excited about. Or maybe a Rocky Road. Who knows? What kind of ice cream flavor? Whatever ice cream is a game-changing ice cream flavor, that's what Karl-Anthony Towns is. So, that, I mean, okay, moving off ice cream flavors. Milwaukee had another game, this time again against the New Orleans Pelicans. This one was a lot more. This one, I'm just going to say it wasn't particularly close.
No,
not even a little bit. This game was not even remotely close to being like the Pelicans this time actually looked like they did not belong in the floor. With the Bucks, they lost 136-111. Keon Brooks had 20. Matt Tukovic, it's not a bad start, by the way. I believe he ducked on Brook Lopez in this game, which Antonio Reeves had 16. Lester Quinez had 21. Jamal Cain had 20. Again, they have like 8 guys right now, and god damn it, they're trying their best out here. This is a plucky squad. But again, what are you going to do with Giannis when Giannis playing at 28? Kevin Porter Jr. had 20. Bobby Portis had 14, which, by the way, we did not mention this. Bobby Portis against the Timberwolves, that was actually his first game back, and he looked really, really well. So shout out Bobby. I think to kind of go on a quick soapbox for a second, I think Bobby Portis' return can only help matters for the Bucks. I think I just think he provided a punch off the bench that I think this team like badly needed. I think his presence allows Kevin Porter Jr. to thrive a little bit, Kevin Porter to thrive a little bit more, because I just think he's like just the type of player that, people are going to pay attention to Bobby, and with that, some guys are going to be able to thrive a little bit. Another note from last game that I forgot to mention is Gary Trent Jr. has actually made the most threes off the Bucks bench in history. So shout out Gary Trent. There was some trepidation about how he was going to be early in the season. He was missing a lot of shots. People are going to be like, "Oh, great, just another 3-point specialist that just misses a shit ton of shots." Gary Trent Jr. has actually worked out. So John Horst with his bench is a mini cook. He's cooked a little bit. Honestly, I don't have any notes from this game. I mean, look, they won 136-111. They're playing against.
Yeah, they dumped them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a shit team. I mean, the Pelicans are just a shit team. They're not very good. I mean, what do you want me to say? They had 8 guys. KPJ looked really, really well. But again, I just don't like. There's really not much for me to add. This is kind of the notes from Sunday. It's just like, well, we're playing against a bad team, and I expect that they would win in this game. Obviously, there was a little bit of worry of like, well, why is Giannis playing in a meaningless game type of thing? It's like you probably should have rested him. But you know what?
I think he left. Him and Brooke just left. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think Brooke and Giannis left early in the game and just hit the showers early. They weren't even seen on the bench.
Yes, they did. Actually, that was the game that they cleared out the entire bench, so that
everyone played.
Literally nobody was left. I mean, obviously you had guys like Pete Nance not playing, stuff like that, but everybody played. Pat had a good dunk. He's got a little less ups now than he used to because he barely got it over the rim. But I don't know. There was just weren't any notes for this game. It was just kind of like an easy night very easy night for Giannis for the most part. I don't know. Just I don't know what you want me to say. They were playing against a shit team. I just like,
They did what they were supposed to do.
my 5 homeless people might as well have played in that game for the Pelicans because that's what it looked like. Like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I understand this is NBA talent, but for God forbid, God forbid, like, can we, like, you got to be a little, like, you might, honestly, the Pelicans, what they should have done is just have like 5 people from LA Fitness just show up and just play for them because, like, God forbid, that's basically the same difference. They scored 111 points, so I guess, happy they broke 100. I don't know. So moving on to the next game. Actually, this game just happened like a little bit ago.
Yeah, not too long ago. Little Pistons game.
Yeah, right in Detroit, the heart of Detroit. Detroit Pistons. Let's see if I can pull that bitch up. Now this game.
Yeah, they play.
This game actually had more ramifications to it. A lot more ramifications to it. 125 to 119.
Bucks needed to win either this one or not, I think, to clinch the 5th seed. Yes, obviously they won, but they needed, because they play the Pistons today and then their last games against them as well. So it was one or the other they had to win at least.
Yeah. They this was and again, these two teams, as you saw towards the end of that game, do not like each other. 120, like I said, 125, 119. As you saw in the end, it got a little chippy. Giannis at 32. Bobby Portis once again. Double. Yeah, light work. Let's see. Bobby Portis at 17. Kevin Porter Jr. at 16. Kay Cunningham at 36, or as Stephen A. called him that one time, Wade Cunningham. Malik Beasley, Mr.
He likes 7 threes.
7 threes. Malik had a good game. It's a little overshadowed by the fact that he was a little bitch at the end of the game. And I'm just going to be honest, he was.
He was trying to act tough.
Well, yes. Well, yeah, exactly. The next reincarnation, of Drew Holiday, as he was once called.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they called him. They called him the reincarnation of Drew Holiday. And, that was,
he blocked the shit out of him and then shimmied on him. So that's obviously his thing. And then he wasn't having it. And then I think they just gave him a double T near the end of the game because Giannis was like trying to just shake his hand and be like, hey, man, all good. And then Malik Beasley was trying to act tough, trying to look cool.
He was.
Even though, again, he got stuffed on a 3. It was funny, though.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good game.
But look, and Giannis was trying to apologize. Giannis was trying so freaking hard to make up for it. He was trying so hard to make up for it. And, just didn't, it just, goddamn, it did not. He slapped his hand away.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling it.
No, he was not.
Obviously, that was like their second altercation at the end. I know Jaren Durant had a hard pick or hard screen on Kevin Porter Jr. Then that led to Kevin Porter kind of giving him a shove, a little flagrant foul. I feel like every Bucks game against the Pistons, there's always something that happens. Obviously, we've had Isaiah Stewart in the past. They even panned the camera to Isaiah Stewart sitting on the bench and their first fight, just because I feel like he's always the instigator, the starter. But no, it was a lot of back and forth, I felt like, throughout that game. Pistons had a big lead. Bucks had a big lead. They were kind of able to come back and just kind of play 3-4 possession games for quite a while. And Bucks were just able to pull it off near the end after they had given up the lead again. I think 101 to 100 it was. And then the Bucks were able to get back a couple threes from Gary Trent and Taurean Prince to essentially lead to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, and AJ Green hit a big time three. Again, I give credit to the Pistons because they were such a dumpster fire last year. And now they're like, now they're actually like an improved team, and I give credit to JB Bickerstaff. I think he's a respected coach. And I think that's helped. I think Kate Cunningham, him playing a whole year, I think that's really helped elevate his game. But like I said, the Pistons got a little attitude to them, and I like that. With Isaiah Stewart,
I feel like that's a Pistons thing. Yep. It's such a thing to have in their association.
Oh, 100%, 100%. They gotta. I feel like for the last few years, they just haven't played for the heartbeat of their city. Detroit's like, just rough and tumble and just, so they gotta be able to do that. If they could play like that, if they could play with a little attitude, like they're gonna dirty up some playoff games. And I don't mean like they're gonna win the series. I just mean from the standpoint of, it's gonna be a competitive ass series. It's going to be a competitive ass series. Like, don't discount it. It's going to be competitive as shit. But yeah, other than that, it was a solid game. I felt as though Milwaukee kind of had it in the bag for the most part. Like I said, Giannis played well. TP was playing well. And it was just, it was a competitive game. And, considering what Detroit's going to be now, it's, whoever, like, it's going to be the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is going to be very interesting. So that's going to be appointment television. Especially like whoever Milwaukee plays, whether it's Indiana again or whether it's New York.
I don't want New York.
I'd rather play Indiana. I just think that's a better matchup for Milwaukee. They won the Sweet Season Series, where considering against the Knicks, they have not. They're 0-9 against the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Cavs, or they haven't beaten any of those teams this year. So I'm a little less like, oh, we should play them first. No, we should start off with maybe the Pacers and then see if we can hopefully play against the Knicks, because I think if we got Lillard and Giannis back, I think that it's going to be a good 7-game series. I'm not a firm believer that the Knicks have to show me. Like, the Knicks have a good team on paper, but they have to show me in the playoffs. Like, if they can make it to an Eastern Conference Finals, if they could be on the precipice of making it to an NBA Finals, I will start to believe in the Knicks. But until that point happens, not a believer yet. Not a believer yet. So, I don't really have anything else. Obviously, we talked about, like, Bobby Portis was like such a good, he was such a good punch for Milwaukee to have off the bench. But outside of that, I don't know if there was anything that you saw that you maybe want to bring up or anything like that. So let me know what you got.
Really just waiting for the season to end. I feel like I'm going to pick once that last game's played and seeds are more solidified. It'll be a lot easier, obviously, to see whoever the Bucks are playing. Obviously, I don't want the Knicks. They've stomped on us every single game. It's not even been a competition playing them. So I really hope there's a team that can, again, hopefully they can beat to get to that second round in order to play one of the higher seeds. But again, yeah, Bobby Portis fits right back in, already throwing up double-doubles like he never left. Usually at this time of the season, I get very nervous, but I'm actually feeling a little more confident with the team and where they're at, especially with, again, how some of these role players have been playing, especially Kevin Porter Jr. being able to be that guy to step up without Lillard. I feel like him and Giannis have had a good connection, a good click. So I like to see that going. And again, the 5 tonight with the win over the Pistons. Obviously, one more game against them in Milwaukee to close out the season, and then it's playoff time. Best time of the year for the NBA.
Yeah, we're excited. Evan and I, hopefully we'll be back on Sunday to recap the Pistons versus the Bucks games, and then we're going to do a little bit of a playoff preview. So, get ready for that. Outside of that, thank you guys so much for tuning into this special edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.